Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. At the very beginning, it's always a joy to remind you that the most important aspect of life is the presence that is within you. It's your conscious presence, that you are connected to the God source, and you can live accordingly. Nothing more important, may that be a presence within you. A few things just to mention today. First of all, our members survey will be conducted from May the 1st to the 15th. If you would just go to our website and click on Spring 2024 Members Survey, it'll pop right up with the questions. Remind you it is anonymous. Please feel very comfortable to make any comments, always for the betterment of Now Creations. I'm also very happy to say that our Kindness Month was a wonderful, wonderful success. We don't know all of the wonderful things you did personally, but we do know that we've had 17 people in the Youngstown Warren community who have requested kindness cards, and we've sent over 800 out to them. We're making a difference. Just want to keep on encouraging you of the importance of you being kind. Also, tonight, we'll be doing What is Light Body from 7 to 8:30, and we'll be doing that every Sunday night from here on. What is Light Body from 7 to 8:30. I think that's all the announcements I need to make. Let's begin. My dear friends, we are now ready for the A-Team. The A-Team, the soul energy that unites all of the other teams. Let's begin with a brief view of the first 4 soul teams that have paved the way for the 5th A-Team. The first soul team, the first yoking, the first pulling together, is the beautiful relationship of our spiritual friends in Now Creations and with members of other spiritual groups. It's no surprise to me that the Buddhists have kept the Sangha, being together with your spiritual friends, as a primary refuge, extremely important. The second soul team is the relationship of our soul self to our personality self, with the vibrant question that many of you have now begun to ask yourself: what is my soul guiding me to do? As well as the soul and the personality self being able to count on each other for guidance and support. The third team is the collective energy of our human spirituality with the larger intermediate beings that we call the elders, the Elohim, the Lords of Light, angels and archangels, and the ascended masters who love us, invite us to sit at the same table with them. Our fourth soul team is the beautiful relationship of the universal Holy Spirit with its powerful principles and values guiding our souls, which then guide our personality selves. This relationship among the universal spirit, our individuated souls, and our personal life expressions is quite a blessing in our experience, one that has truly, in a sense, helped each one of us move into a higher understanding of our spirituality. Thus, with these 4 soul teams in place, we are now ready for the 5th soul team, the A-Team, which binds all of the other soul teams together. It is the spiritual glue. It is the spiritual energy that unites all of our other soul teams into one. I will begin with a few names that we give to this high energy, and then proceed to clearly present its essential feature. Lastly, I will focus on our response to this incredible presence in our lives. You might want to take some notes. Today's teaching is entitled Soul Teams, Part 5. Let's begin with a few names that people give to this ultimate energy. There are many names for this universal energy that keeps everything together. Some of them come from the field of religion, with names such as God, Yahweh, Brahman, Allah, Tao, and Abba. Some come from the field of science and psychology, such as energy, source, oneness, presence, consciousness, awareness. Some are more allegorical in nature, such as Indra's web and the web of consciousness. While all of these names are applicable in specific situations, the one that I feel is most descriptive and yet most inclusive is the phrase, the unified field. The unified field. There is just that something about the term, the unified field, that seems to have such a unifying energy, especially uniting all of the other soul teams into an essential oneness. Also, because the word God has some baggage for some people, especially in the area of guilt and judgment, I will use the word source or the unified field when I address this universal energy. There are several characteristics of the source that are clearly apparent for all of us as human beings. But might I suggest that there is just one primary understanding, one primary relationship, one primary characteristic that is so very important for us. It is this primal characteristic that I will now share with you. Please listen carefully and do not bypass the obvious. Do not bypass the obvious. The source, first of all, its primal characteristic, has shared life with you. Do you not exist? Don't you exist? Aren't you a conscious being? And upon reflection, are you not an eternal soul spirit? As I said, do not bypass the most obvious thing that the source has shared with you, your life. Don't bypass the obvious. You exist. Might I say that the source is the very life of your life, and especially, the source itself has that great goodness, that great energy, and it has shared it with us. It has called us into existence. There's more. Not only has the source brought us into existence, but the source has also shared with us. The source has shared with us all of its characteristics of life. Again, don't bypass the obvious. It's not just that the source has brought you into existence, but it has shared with you its characteristics, such as power, intelligence, creativity, and goodness. Again, don't bypass the obvious. You are a living being, and you're smart, and you're powerful, you're creative, and you're good. Where did you get these characteristics from? Don't bypass the obvious. Traditionally, we have said that we are created in the image and likeness of God, which is true. But don't again allow the familiarity of the words to bypass their power. We have all of the qualities of the source because the source has shared those qualities with us. The source has outsourced them to us. Now, let me bring a little Plato in at this point. Plato is very clear that the most important thing in life, the most important thing in life, was to know and become like the good, his word for the source. Thus, Plato would go on to explain what the source has done for you. I'm going to use a checkoff list. The source has given you life. Check. The source has given you intelligence. Check. The source has given you creative power. Check. The source has given you goodness, beneficence, kindness. Check. Do you not clearly see what the source has done is it has shared its life with us? The source has shared its life with us. That is the essential quality of the source, the sharing of life. I want to say it again. That's the essential quality of the source. It has shared its life with us. Thus, when Plato says that the most important thing is to know and become like the good, it is very clear to me that he means that we too are to share our life that the source has first shared with us. And this sharing does not mean simply material things, but really sharing the life of the source that is within us. This is the most important thing. Let me repeat it. It's sharing the life of the source. Yes, I'm going to repeat it again. It's sharing the life that we've received from the source with each other. Are you not clearly seeing that it is the sharing of the God Spirit that is the principal direction of now creations? I want you to know that. This is the direction we're taking. It's the sharing of the life of the God Spirit within each one of us. And that each one of us, as we trust and know that life within us, are essentially sharers of life with others. And not only is sharing the essential factor of our personal lives, that it is the one and the only factor that unifies all of the aspects of our life, and someday will unify all others as they come to know that presence within them. But here's the real joy I suggest to you. It is precisely the sharing of the God Spirit that you most want to share. Is it not? Have not you arisen to this? The thing you most want to share is the sharing of the God Spirit within you. I think we can say very happily, along with Plato, You can count on me, my soul spirit, to become like the good. And we know that we can count on the good to support us in life. You know, all you have to do is ask, and you will receive, because the qualities are already within you. Do you understand? Now, there are two more things I think that are important for us to be able to focus on. The first one will be a little lengthy. The first one is that spark of life, that spark of life is also in everyone else as well, despite the behavior that they might be expressing at any given moment. This truth that we have heard many, many, many times, hopefully will help us stop and think a little more clearly this morning. Please listen closely. That same loving spirit that we feel so deeply, we understand resides in everyone. This is quite easily seen in all of our spiritual friends with now creations. In fact, I think we are so edified and inspired to witness the wonderful spirit among all of us as we share in this higher energy. And we see, quite frankly, the same energy in our family and friends, even though sometimes they resort to lower third dimensional energy, and we give them a pass because, well, they're family. That to acknowledge that the same spark is in everyone demands a great deal of attention. And might I suggest the following understanding that I feel is so very important. The first understanding is one that I personally have worked on for years and am finally coming to know and experience in my life, happy to say. I have come to understand that if I do not accept others in their outward behavior, as soon as I would be not receptive to that behavior, I found that I was not receptive to the God Spirit within me. I'm going to repeat that. I realized that if I could not accept the behavior in another, I would go into that lower energy and I would not experience that God Spirit within me. Putting it more clearly, if I could not hold the energy of the God Spirit within me because I was judging another, I was critical of another, I realized that that spirit would no longer be in the center of my life. I had to come to grips with that, and so do you. It was obvious to me that the other, at the moment where their behavior was challenging to me, had become my teacher. There was something I needed to learn to keep my unity with others. I felt that that was the very same teaching that Jesus gave us in A Course in Miracles when he talked about the notion of the meaning of his crucifixion. What he said was, the meaning of the crucifixion was not to save anyone from sinfulness. In the Father's eyes, you've always been loved. But rather, the meaning of the crucifixion was to clearly teach that no one is outside of the sonship, which means family of God. No one is outside of the family of God, even those who are putting you to death and jeering at you at the moment. That was a big lesson. It was a big lesson. A big lesson that I knew I had to learn. and perhaps maybe you need to learn as well. This lesson was very clearly evident to me in the teaching that Jesus gave to the apostles when they asked him, Master, what teaching should we follow in life? Jesus responded and said, well, there's only two. I think you know them both. The first one is that you should love the Lord your God with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. I think we do. I think we do. And you know the second one, but you probably don't remember the words that connect the second one to the first one. The connecting words are, and the second is like the first. And the second is like the first. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Let's be clear. You shall love your neighbor with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That is challenging. That is challenging. We need to hear that connecting phrase. The second is like the first. To realize that we are all family of the one source. It's fairly easy to follow the first part of the teaching. Well, yes, we love God with our whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. But to follow that second one, to love your neighbor in the midst of challenging behavior, it's not quite so easy. There were two things that helped me even more. The first was A Course in Miracles, which reminds us that we must learn to be one with all of our sisters and brothers, because if we are not then one with the source. Again and again and again and again, the Course in Miracles is relentless in guiding us to say you must become one with all creation, that we are really one family in the God Spirit. A very helpful teaching to me also, something that was immensely assisting to me, was another teaching concerning the members of our family of God from Oneness by Rasha and A Course in Mastering Alchemy by Jim Self. This was really helpful to me. Both of these books enforce the teaching that each soul is on their own soul journey. Every soul is on their own soul journey, and they're having the experience that their respective souls are desiring them to experience. Even when the experience might be of a lower energy, such as fear, worry, anxiety. And we must allow that soul to have that experience. In fact, we can't do anything about it. And there's no need to be critical and judgmental of it. This teaching of allowing lower energy, please listen carefully. This teaching of allowing, can't do anything about it, lower energy, was also supported by the work of Tony Stubbs in his wonderful book, Death Without Fear, when he states that everyone is at a different level of consciousness. Not everyone is on the same level of consciousness. That there are baby souls, young souls, mature souls, and old souls. This was quite helpful to me to understand that people are at different levels of consciousness in their soul journeys on earth. This is what Jesus understood and did not take his death personally or judge others. This is what we need to understand so we don't take things personally or judge others. We must come to realize that we are one family of God. This is what we must come to understand if we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. But quite frankly, that's what you have to understand. If you're going to love God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength. See, the second is like the first. The seed of oneness is within each one of us, and we must continue to see it in all others. Let me make a brief aside. The Kindness Month that we just celebrated, especially with the newspaper ad and the kindness cards that we sent to many people in our communities, has been a wonderful display of the oneness movement in Now Creations. We can talk about oneness, but it's the doing of oneness that is so very important. It's the doing of oneness that initiates the energy in others. May each of us take that initiative to bring oneness into our daily activities. Let's express that oneness by what we do, by how we show up in the God Spirit. And might I say, I think we're doing a better and better job each day. We are now ready for the second understanding of the oneness of the all-inclusiveness of our source. This will be much briefer. We alluded to this second understanding when we focused on the collective spiritual energy we share with other beings, beings that are beyond simply our human intercourse. We need to understand that between the source and us, there are many, many intermediate beings, and there are many, many intermediate realms. It's not just heaven and earth. There are many intermediate beings in many intermediate realms. Fortunately for us in our lifetime, the James Webb Telescope is helping us to view the material realms far beyond our planet and our solar system. We must also realize that there are other physical and non-physical life forms that also participate in the oneness of creation. I want to start planting that seed within you. This broadening of our vision beyond our planet and beyond simply human beings is such an important part of our oneness. I encourage you to open to the fact that we humans are only one piece of the beautiful mosaic of the oneness of the unified field. We will say more about this in the future, but for the time being, may we be one with the Elohim and Lords of Light and angels and archangels and ascended masters and each other and each other. We are happy. We are very happy that as part of Now Creations, we have a Cosmic Citizens Committee. We will hear more about that committee shortly. In conclusion, while today's teaching has focused on the source's love for us, next week's teaching will focus on our response to the source. We both need to be counted on for the source, for the fullness of creation, and we need to count on the source to help us in that creation so that we can manifest life here on our planet. And I'm very happy to repeat that it is very important for us to count on each other. It's really important for us to count on each other, extending our goodness not only to each other, but to the entire human family. For it is this family of God that we are yoking. It is this family of God that we are pulling together with each other in the family of our source. This is the truth. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Let's begin as we normally do by just taking a breath. And just saying to yourself, well, here I am. Here I am. There was a time when you would have said, well, the I is my personality, my human self. But you've progressed far beyond that. You now know when you say, here I am. You know that that means your soul, spirit. Here I am. I exist. I exist. How did that come about? I exist. And I'm smart. I'm very intelligent. Where did that come from? Where did that come from? I'm smart. And I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot. I'm not a puppet. I'm free. I'm smart. And I'm free. And I'm kind. I just want to do good. I just want to be loving. That's what I most want to do. You might want to say, I want to be just like God. I want to be just like God. Well, you are. You are. It's the way you've been created. Please, please do not dumb yourself down. Do not dumb yourself down to saying, well, I'm just a human being and no one's perfect. Although God would not be insulted, that really is an affront to the way you've been created. God would not take it personally. But it is kind of an insult to the life you've been given. This is your real ancestry. I feel that each one of you in this meditation right now is getting out of your head and you're admitting that you have that sacred heart energy at the very core of your being. Would you step it up? Step it up and realize what you're capable of. Step it up. And in doing so, share it with others. Share it with others as your primary gift to them, as you have been gifted by our source. Now, before we conclude, let the heaviness of today's teaching, we can call it that, resolved in a joy within you. Put that smile on your face and one in your heart. Oh yes, today was a big teaching that we share in this wonderful joy of the divine love. Would you just take a moment now to, oh yes, smile on your lips, but especially that one in your heart. Let it just fill you happily. Happy. Who wouldn't be happy? You're created, oh, in the image and likeness of God. And now you know it. So return now to your breath. Nice, easy breathing. Bring that happy energy with you into your breath. Reminding yourself the second is like the first. Oh, yes. And gently breathing your eyes open now. I mean, isn't it easy to say? I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.